Welcome back. Now, just last week, Adelaide CBD became one of the world's biggest Wi-Fi hotspots. For the tech-savvy, it's a priceless convenience. But Wi-Fi has some health experts worried. They fear it's damaging our health and we won't know the full effects for generations to come. Here's Jade Robram with one Adelaide school that's taking no chances.
Within 12 months, I fell pregnant and miscarried at 11 weeks. I then subsequently went on and had 10 miscarriages in this home.
Are we facing the biggest health crisis of the 21st century?
Potentially in 20, 30 years' time, we may look back and say, gee, why did we do that to our children?
Without even knowing it, we're constantly being bombarded by an invisible fog of wireless radiation that could be making us sick. So, are we being fried by Wi-Fi? Single mother Trish Garcia thinks she is. She suffers from what has been called Wi-Fi sensitivity, and now her 12-year-old daughter is showing the same symptoms.
Headaches, even if it's just a little bit, it just kind of progresses, and heartburn sometimes, and fatigue, feeling really tired, and nausea if it gets really bad. And usually when I'm using things like iPads or iPods or those kinds of touchscreen things, or even if I'm playing PlayStation for too long.
Georgie noticed her condition grew worse at school, becoming so bad that in March this year she asked her mum if she could leave. She's now being homeschooled.
I was devastated. I cried for about 3 days because I was just so happy with all my friends and all my teachers. I had a good relationship with all my teachers and I was doing so well, and I was just so upset that I couldn't keep doing that. It was terrible.
There's no doubt in my mind that Georgie's exposure to Wi-Fi and the iPads at school over a period of time has accumulated and has caused her to have these symptoms that are, made her quite ill.
The exposures in a school environment are actually much higher than in any home environment. And whether or not you're using the Wi-Fi, that router is emitting microwave radiation. And so you're constantly exposed.
Dr. Magna Havas is a leading expert on electromagnetic radiation in Canada. She believes there's a great risk when it comes to Wi-Fi and children.
It's an emerging health issue because we've got evidence now that it's been linked to cancers, to reproductive problems, to electrohypersensitivity, to heart palpitations. So we're really dealing with a tsunami.
Wi-Fi is now considered a necessity in most schools and workplaces. It's revolutionised the way we work, learn and live. Even though Wi-Fi emits low-rating radiation waves, the problem is it's everywhere.
Progressive countries like France, Russia, Israel, Italy, China, Switzerland, their exposure standards are 100 times lower than what's allowed in Australia.
A former NASA scientist mapped transmission waves across Washington, DC. The city is covered. Many of us go about our days unaffected. But those that are, like Nicole Belsma, it can be life-changing for all the wrong reasons.
To have 10 miscarriages, you're like, just what is going on?
Look, miscarriages are emotionally, physically exhausting.
Her body was being affected by radiation sensitivity.
Yes, I do believe that the AC magnetic field we were sleeping in as a result of being on the other side of the wall of the meter box had contributed to the miscarriages.
Nicole moved house and is now a happy and healthy mother of 3. She's also the author of Healthy Home, Healthy Family and is campaigning to have Wi-Fi removed from schools.
There's no complicated login, you don't need to do anything, you just simply find the SSID, click and away you go.
Last week, internet provider Internode, the state government and the city council launched a multi-million-dollar initiative to make Adelaide's CBD the biggest Wi-Fi hotspot in the world.
This is the largest public network in the country, and credit to the state government, city council, for having the vision and I guess to take the city into the 21st century.
Not having technology as a focus means that our children are thinking in a much more responsible and productive way.
One place that switched off its Wi-Fi connection is Upper Sturt Primary School. Principal Barb Jones.
There's not enough evidence that Wi-Fi is completely safe at this stage. We haven't had it long enough.
It was very difficult to find a school that was Wi-Fi free.
Tony Glab, mother to Alexander and Christina, was adamant she wanted to send her son to a Wi-Fi free zone after learning the World Health Organisation classified it as a potential carcinogen.
We have those lessons from history where we know that governments take often decades to respond and act in the interests of public health and safety, and that's clearly shown with asbestos and smoking and lead. So once again, this is one of these issues that potentially in 20, 30 years' time we may look back and say, gee, why did we do that to our children?
Students still have the use of computers, but they're hardwired, which means no radioactivity is emitted.
We wanted our children to understand that computers are a tool. They're not the first part of research. They don't have to be.
It's an idea that countries like France, Russia, Italy, China and Switzerland implemented in schools, kindergartens and daycare centres years ago. But yet Australia won't do it.
The exposure standards are not geared towards children, they're geared towards the 6-foot healthy man. I don't see a 6-foot healthy man in a childcare centre, a kindergarten or in most primary schools.
Australia's Wi-Fi safety guidelines haven't been updated for more than 10 years, since the introduction of smartphones, tablets and the rollout of wireless internet in schools. The government declined our interview request, but previously they've admitted that it can't be 100% sure there are no long-term health effects. The Australian Radiation and Nuclear Safety Agency represents the government and they issued us with this statement. There is no established evidence that the exposure to low levels of radio frequency electromagnetic energy from Wi-Fi adversely affects the health of children.
Of course there's low evidence because it is unethical to put a mobile phone or a smart meter near a child's head and study its impact. What ethics committee will give you approval to actually do the research on children?